One. Okay, you're up.
Well, notice, all right, call to order and quorum call. It's 6:42 p.m. Notice is hereby given that the City of Sandy Oaks Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a meeting on Thursday, June 3rd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. by telephonic and video conferencing, which will be live streamed and accessible to the public for the purpose of considering the agenda items as provided below. In accordance with the order of the Office of the Governor issued March 16th, 2020, and in an effort to advance the public health goal of limiting face-to-face interactions to slow the spread of the coronavirus, the commission will meet by and provide live stream video and or telephonic access of the meeting to the public. The meeting may participate in this meeting. The public may participate in this meeting by using the link provided or by dialing in to any of the following phone numbers that are provided. When requested, enter the meeting ID. The public will be permitted to offer public comments telephonically or audio as provided below and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the chair at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing the commissioner or by calling the number provided. Written comments may be submitted to the chair up to 2 hours before the meeting by emailing the commissioner and will be provided to the commission for their consideration. A recording of the telephonic meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. May I have a quorum call, Mr. Thomasini?
Oh, sure. Joe,
Present.
Miss Hadley,
Present.
and Doug Messini, myself are present. And along with me and the rest is Mayor Ball, Jacqueline Guerrero, and Miss Ortiz.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, citizens to be heard. Members of the public may address the commission at this time. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to speak. One person may speak on behalf of a group. Up to 3 persons may register on behalf of the group in order for the spokesperson to be allotted up to 9 minutes to speak. And I have not, I'm gonna double check to make sure.
And Ms. Hadley, I would like to note at 6:44 p.m. Ken Bradshaw joined the meeting.
Okay.
Oh,
Good deal. Let's see. Junk email. And more. Nope, I don't have anything. I haven't received anything. So agenda item number 3. I didn't get any of, or if I did, I did not see them. Mr. Thomasini, did you send out the approval or the minutes for May 6th?
no,
Okay.
I didn't get them all because I can give you what I have because I wasn't taking notes before I was voted in.
Gotcha. No, and that's okay. I think Ms.
But I
Ortiz, am I right?
Make what I have.
Yeah, I do have notes of the before he was appointed secretary, and I'll send them over to him.
Okay, so we'll just add this to the next meeting.
And for the record, these sessions are recorded and they are posted on YouTube and linked on the city website.
Okay. Can I move agenda item 3? I would assume that's what I do, Ms. Ortiz.
You can just pull it from the agenda and it'll go on the next agenda.
Okay. We'll pull item or agenda number 3 and add it to the next agenda. Agenda number 4 is a workshop to discuss proposed comprehensive zoning ordinance for the city of Sandy Oaks and or take possible action on the proposed comprehensive zoning ordinance. And I think that leaves us with Mickey. I don't know what you have available. Do we know which one we want to look at? I guess the zoning districts established. Would you suggest that, Ms. Ortiz, being looked at next? Or,
So I suggested that once Ms. Guerrero has an opportunity to kind of review everything and maybe give some consultations, what it can be looked at generally, probably, as far as what uses or what particular districts the commission does want to consider as a part of the city's land use. But then as far as specifics and regulations, those will probably wait.
okay, so,
Or I guess if you just want to pull it up and take a stab and see what the commission can do.
okay, so if she's gonna review all of it, what are we reviewing tonight? I guess that's kind of the, I'm assuming she hasn't had any time to review anything. Enacting provisions, didn't we go over this one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I think you're muted.
Yes, the enacting provisions,
Well,
that
whatever.
was done at one of the first meetings.
Okay. I guess I was looking for the notes. Mickey, what do you have up?
Hold on. Okay, I have the zoning districts up on the screen.
Am I not seeing that?
I'm sharing.
There you are. Yeah, I have two screens and it doesn't always
Oh, okay.
work out. There you are. Okay, never mind.
Okay, so we have 9 pages here of this particular one. And then I would like to ask Jacqueline her comfort level with the material that we're going to be going over this evening in light of kind of late invitation to this. If she just wants to, if she wants to guide us through this, or just kind of work through it, or just observe this evening.
I did read the documents and I would rather observe on this piece. I did want to ask if you wanted me to, on the certificates of occupancy and compliance piece. I know we did that on last meeting, but I wasn't too sure if you wanted me to type on that piece.
So I know we did talk about the COOs. I can go pull up my notes from the last one.
I think it would probably be best to go through all that again, maybe with all the questions that we have her review the questions or the concerns that we may have had, and maybe that's what we do in the next meeting. And then maybe this one, we just kind of dive into this.
Okay,
And that way she has time to look at all of it and see what,
exactly.
what's what.
Okay, so hold on just 1 second. I'm going to be bringing this up here in just 1 minute as soon as I can. Boy, what did we do before Zoom? Okay. And let me move this out of the way here. Okay. So we are talking about,
Does she have copies of these with our notes on them?
she should, yes, I'm pulling all these documents from the email that was sent to Jacqueline.
I didn't see that they were marked up.
Well, this is my notes from the last meeting. So
So they
the
were-
comments where it says Public Works, that's the old Public Works computer I'm using here at home for city stuff. So those comments are from me, but I don't know how to change it from Public Works.
They're
That's what-
on the document that I received. It's just clicking on the little square.
I'm sorry, it's doing what?
Clicking on the little square where you made the notation
Yeah?
and you can see your comment.
Okay, well, I also have it open on the screen I'm sharing that has the notes as well.
Okay.
I guess I don't see the notes. Like, I don't see that she got in the email. I didn't, maybe that's why I'm confused.
There's
So
a
you did,
Word document that is, it says MLB notes, draft zoning. I think it's the last attachment.
Gotcha. Okay, so that one has all the notes on it.
Yes.
Well, I still don't see the notes, but anyway,
I think
Okay.
you have to view it in markup.
okay. Well, we're not gonna go over that anyway. She can go over that and then maybe we can go over that next time. That way she has, you know, a good chance to go into all of it, because that's a lot that we went through. It's a lot of catching up to do. And if we just do the draft, the newest one, what is the, not the draft, hold on. The, maybe like the definitions or even the draft zoning ordinance, like the definitions one or the other.
You talking about zoning districts?
Yeah, zoning districts, maybe just go
Okay.
over that.
All
And
right.
that way she has time, because I think maybe a week would not be, or no, she just got them yesterday.
Yeah.
So that's not enough time to go over all that.
And that was all on me and I apologize. It's been
No, it's okay.
a crazy,
It's okay.
it's been a crazy, crazy time. Let's see, I'm looking for this. Okay, share. Okay. Now we have districts up on the screen.
Yeah, maybe that would be like at least a good start for us while she has time to go back and review that on her own.
And Cassandra, on this particular piece, these designations that are on here came from the master plan, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we have all of these already defined within our master plan.
They are vaguely defined, or they're not as defined. They don't have the regulations or specifics that the zoning ordinance would have or should have.
Okay.
So I guess, are we still leading us, or Miss Guerrero, did you want to kind of go through all of this stuff? Because this is brand new to all of us. We don't know.
I see an error right here. Let me comment on that.
Yes, I did catch that, because in the other, reading forward more of the document, it says from 1976 instead of 2976.
Got it. And I think that that falls under our mobile home ordinance that we put in place. Is that correct?
But from 19,
Home ordinance and the and federal law regarding manufactured homes.
Got it. Okay.
okay. So 1976 is the correct date on it?
That
Yes.
seems correct. Yes. Now I do have a question about this. It says no mobile home constructed before June 15th, 1976 shall be placed on any lot. That is in my view a little bit ambiguous, because somebody would, I'm already getting calls from people going, you know, really, we can't have a home that's more than 5 years old. And I said, no, that's not true. You can't bring a new one in. You can't bring another unit in. If you live in one that's older than that, you can keep it. So I don't know if we need to expand that or not.
So where did the 1976 come from?
That is from state law regarding manufactured homes. So what we can probably do is include the definition of manufactured home, which is that particular date for number one.
So there's a difference between a mobile home and a manufactured home by legal definition.
Manufactured homes is the, I guess, the legal definition for any home built after this June 15th, 1976 date, where a mobile home would be anything prior to that date. As long as the manufactured home meets all the requirements of the statute, it's a manufactured or a HUD code manufactured home. And then I guess the mobile home would not be something that is meets the definition or is a HUD manufactured home. So mobile home may be defined somewhere under like the sample definitions section, or it can be need to be changed to manufactured home. So that may all be something that is then taking care of the definition section of the ordinance.
Okay, And then, so then 1976, okay, I think I understand, but, so that's really confusing. I don't know if it's just my foggy brain right now, but no mobile home constructed before that date.
Melissa, there is in our manufactured home ordinance that we have in place, those definitions, I know I was confused as well. There are, I think, 3 different definitions related to manufactured homes. And it has to do with the regulations from the federal government, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
No.
I know it's
I was talking about like our ordinance, like that's gonna be super confusing, the 1976 versus,
Well, it has to do, there's another qualifier in there, and there's tags on these units, and they're color coded. So it makes it a little bit easier to help, but yeah.
sounds good. On manufactured homes. Go ahead.
Cassandra, on number 2, based on not the most recently closed legislative session, but I think it was the one prior, was there not some definition that came out of that related to requiring specific materials related to building materials? We cannot.
The city cannot require anything more specific or more stringent than what is allowed by, for example, the International Residential Code. If the International Residential Code allows for a particular material, the city can't prohibit that material.
Okay. So these items that are identified on here are acceptable?
Yeah, I guess as long as it's HUD approved.
Okay.
So all these, I'm assuming are HUD approved.
Yes, probably have to go back and double check to make sure nothing has changed recently. But yes.
Do you want to put a note
Would
on that,
you-
Nikki?
Yeah, I would consider putting a note on that to expand to see what HUD is actually qualifying for the current piece of it. And I would think that maybe it would change, especially during the pandemic.
That's a lot of things are changing because of the
Yeah,
pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
that looks like it. I mean, it covers everything. Or materials specifically designed for the purpose of enclosing manufactured homes. But yeah, she's right with that. That's crazy. Anyway.
The District 1 R1, I don't know if we're moving forward on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go.
Okay, the District 1 R1, and it for number 4, the isn't spelled all the way. The minimum required area.
Oh, right here. Okay. So,
For the-
yeah, here we go. Now we have it down here.
Where are we leaving? So churches are one, that churches are, I guess, or other places of worship.
Accessory buildings.
Wouldn't it be considered commercial? I mean, I don't know, but churches, aren't they considered commercial?
I don't know the answer to that. Jacqueline?
I don't think so, because based on how they file their taxes, I mean, I think that would be the question of how they're filing taxes.
What,
I think maybe Cassandra would be able to answer more on that.
Churches can generally go in any area of a city. I'm it's coming back to me, these districts, they came from the master plan, but they also came from the original zoning draft of an ordinance that the city engineer proposed 2 or 3 years ago. So I think it is consistent with the deed restrictions. And so if that was allowed with the deed and that's how the residential districts were broken up. So if it was allowed in the deed restrictions, they were allowed in particular residential districts.
There have been some pretty high profile landmark cases on religious freedom, you know, that have caused a lot of thorny issues for people who wanted to say what could or couldn't be considered a church. And the courts have given anybody who claims to be building a church very wide latitude.
Even though it messes with neighbors, I think we had this conversation before, even though, and I'm not saying I'm against it, please don't, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I mean, even though, because I know this has been brought up before, even though it impedes other, the neighbors around them, like with traffic and parking and all that stuff, I mean.
Yeah, the right of people to freely assemble and worship is almost absolute. So, yeah, it's a super thorny issue. I'm sure you can look up many cases.
Yeah, no, I know it is, but it's still our job to, you know.
However,
look
it's
at
a
it.
fairly rare occurrence. So
Well, I think we have several in our
We do have
neighborhood.
several.
we do have
Yeah.
several churches, but and as I've driven through the neighborhoods, I don't see that they have large amounts of congregation, many of them. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 on Priest Road alone.
Yeah, but playing devil's advocate again, that traffic may not be a lot to you, but is it to their neighbors kind of thing? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
Or, you know, it may not be a lot to me, but it could be to their neighbors. I don't know. I'm just bringing it up because
Well,
it's something.
So if you look down here under District R2, item 2 talks about, shoot, churches
Church-
Again,
and other
oh,
places.
go
of worship.
back up there. Double was misspelled.
Well, wise, it's not a
4B.
single wise, it's a single wide on.
Yeah,
section-
single wide and not a double wide, but a double wide.
What are we, where are we? What, give me a,
Let's
oh,
go.
4A.
4A and 4B.
Okay.
got it, okay. Got it.
A double wide.
Yeah, that's the Spanish spelling, right? Doble.
This is wide.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. I didn't know where y'all
I
were.
missed that one.
I'm assuming the 800 square feet goes along with what we already have.
So the way this all kind of came about, initially, we had our city engineer take the deed restrictions from the various units within the development. And that is how all these designations were done. They looked at each of the different areas. Each unit within the subdivision had its own deed restriction. They were very similar, identical in some cases, little different in other cases. So they grouped them together to come up with these recommended district designations based on existing deed restrictions. So that's where you're seeing 800 and 1100.
That's what I'm saying. It's just consistent across the board. Like that's not something that we have to look at. It is.
Well, I think it is per district. So residential 1 would have, and to be honest, I'm going to admit I have not read through this before this meeting, but it may be referenced in R2, be a different.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. It may be referenced in what?
See,
Mickey?
like right here, 700 feet in an R2.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure wherever it was being pulled from that it was consistent. Like we don't have to go back and look and make sure or anything.
Well, that's a very good question. See, here's one for R3, it's 1,000 square feet. So this was pulled from existing deed restrictions. Does not mean that we have to maintain those numbers. Those certainly could be changed. What I'm saying is this came from what already exists.
Gotcha. Okay.
On
I don't-
district R1, number 6, what is a life dot?
That's supposed to be livestock. So
Oh.
I dictated this into my Word. So that's why
And
you'll
prob-
see some
And
random
bread
misspelling.
should probably be B-R-E-D.
Say what?
B-R-E-D. It's bread, B-R-E-D.
Oh,
And you-
I love it.
And you know I'm not gonna like that one.
I know you aren't.
No lie. Where'd this come from?
Again, all of these were built on existing deed restrictions. And from what I understand, and Cassandra could correct me if I'm wrong, this is the starting point.
So we can change it.
We can change it.
This does not need to be consistent or mirror the deed restrictions at all. You will have people that will complain or argue that they cannot do certain things because it's not allowed by the zoning ordinance, it's not allowed, or it's not allowed by the, or it's allowed by the deed restrictions, but not allowed by the zoning ordinance, and they conflict. But I'm not sure when the deed restrictions expire, they would have to either go back and have those deed restrictions change, or ask for a zoning change or of some sort of variance for that particular zoning restriction.
So how do we make that number 6 go with what we already have as an ordinance?
Well, I think, and Mayor, the animal control ordinance prohibits livestock. Does it, so I would think it prohibits the breeding as well, or maintaining even animals for over a certain amount of time, 8 weeks or whenever they're mature to leave the mother. So there are several ordinances within the city that this would need to be consistent with. So if it's allowed in the zoning ordinance, the animal control ordinance would have to be changed to allow.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little notation right here. Oh, if I can. Stop that.
Number section 7 also needs to have bread changed to bread.
Sorry.
Picky, picky, picky.
I know.
No, but that's good.
Onomatopoeia.
I want to, okay, so I made a comment here.
Are those homonyms? Those are homonyms.
I don't know what they are. Synonyms. Aren't they
Yeah.
synonyms?
No, synonyms mean they mean the same thing.
Oh, that's right. Not that they spell the same way.
Words that sound the same but mean different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just, in this comment here where it says allowed by animal control ordinance, for section 6 in total, that's what that means, is that needs to be consistent with what we have in our animal control ordinance.
Gotcha. Household pets, isn't there an ordinance about that?
Well, there is, but same thing. So let me just copy this. Okay. All right.
And then 8, what does kennel mean? Like, because I have a kennel for my dogs. Does that, I mean, somebody can interpret that.
I would think that you mean commercial, but
Well,
I mean,
It just says Kim.
yeah, I know that could be overstepped very easily by somebody who's being a little bit zealous. Like, you can't have that for your dog. It's like,
yeah,
or am I supposed to keep him?
Exactly, and we do encourage people to,
kennels.
yeah. But what we may need to expand on is that commercial, is that boarding?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll just clarify that one a little bit.
Exactly.
And that may be in the definition section. And there may be a separate definition for, personal kennels for personal use and kennels for commercial use that can be, not everything will be defined right within the ordinance. It'll have its own definition section to reference.
Got it. Okay. Okay, so now we get into number 9, which is a this is where you're gonna see a lot of questions from the public on this.
Yeah.
Because this, again, this was the original deed restriction, but if you travel throughout the city, you will see that not everybody abided by that. So we need to figure out how, how we want to address these items.
We don't have anything ordinance wise, so
Number 9, is that addressing the easements and the
It is.
setbacks?
It is,
So you're supposed to build your fence 6 feet inside your property line?
yes.
Well-
no.
Now, I have not, what I've been telling people that ask me that question, I tell them that they are free to build a fence on their property line.
Yeah, that's crazy. 6
Yeah.
feet to the side or rear of property. No, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
Then you're gonna have like little
Yeah, but-
alleyways everywhere.
that's true.
It's
If
with the understanding that the utility companies can come in and take the fence down to put their utilities in and not be required to replace or repair or reinstate the fence. Is that correct?
Yes and
Well,
no.
that's a can of worms.
Yeah,
Well, but here's the deal. Again, nobody, very few people have abided by that specific guideline.
Geez, I wonder why.
Yeah. And the only setback that is of any importance here is the front setback. And that is because that is where our utility easements are. We don't have utility easements that are running between properties. Everything is on the
General,
road.
not between or behind.
Exactly.
But I guess we really need to define what the property line is then, right? Is that the edge of the street? Is it the
Nope,
center?
nope. Here's what I tell people. If you
Is it
don't
the
know where
end?
if you don't know where your property line is from the front of the street,
Don't
a
build it.
general guideline is look where your utility pole is placed. The back side of the utility pole should meet your property line. Where that pole ends,
Okay,
that should, it is a general guideline.
I was gonna
I would
say, because
never
that's not
tell
how
anybody-
mine is.
I would never tell anybody that is exact, but
Yeah,
as a general guideline, that's how it works. Now, part of the setback from the front, all road, like New Mathis Road, I think is a 60-foot wide
No
section.
camp.
And that is measured from the middle of the road. Yeah, that's how they do that. So 30 foot on either side of the center line.
is the right of way.
Yes, it would be considered roadway and right of way.
Yeah.
except we don't have the center line.
Well, that's just a technicality.
This is why surveyors make so much money.
Yeah. So, I think that needs to be either we change that now or we
Doing fire building elaborate structures in the easement.
in the easement.
Yeah,
No structures in the easement, no.
yeah,
Yes.
rock gardens, little
Nope.
centers, all
Nope.
kinds of stuff.
No, that tree and that pile of compost or whatever that guy's got going on, that don't go there.
Well, we had several heated discussions with homeowners.
They seem to think that, to the street is their property, but that's okay.
Exactly. You're not putting that box on my land.
Well, I still think we need to either, yeah, take out the 6 feet to the side or the rear because that's crazy. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't know how you guys feel.
I'm with you. A fence line, we have so many disputes between neighbors now,
Yeah,
and I'm talking inches. They fight over inches.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good fences make good neighbors.
Well, here's the other thing. This is the other thing that we need to potentially be considerate of. If you wanted to impose the 6-foot side easement or setback, now the public in their mind believes that that is now the responsibility of the city to maintain.
Yep. I can
Whether
see
it's
that.
a ditch or it's just a grassy area. And the reality is that is their property. So
Yeah. So it almost constitutes a taking.
yeah. Jacqueline, from your perspective, based on what you know, what can you offer in this discussion?
I would want to look at the other cities close to each other, like Elmendorf or whatever next city is close to, and see what they're doing based off of the population, based on those factors, and see what can be a middle ground. Because at the end, I mean, you know who your city is, you know who is there residing, and they're going to have to live with this for until they're there or have gone from Sandy Oaks.
And so one of the things that we have the advantage of here is that we can do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
We're not changing. We're not.
I'd like kind of, I mean, I know that that's an ancient deeds and CCRs, you know, probably from back when Mr. Gale was first chopping the land up. So I don't know what I'm trying to figure out what the rationale for that is.
Yeah.
I do not know. And I
I mean,
know some of the
It may
areas,
have been at that point, they didn't know where utilities and easements were going to be.
and that's true. It was a new development. So that is true. But I think that we need to,
Remove that 6 feet.
remove that 6 feet, allow
Mhm.
fencing on the property line. Okay.
Yeah, because that's not
There's
good.
a whole area of law going around shared fences.
Um,
Because
So
if you build it right on
30
the line, you're actually ceding half of it.
so the 30 feet, Mickey, is that that's up to the property line, right? Usually.
Yeah, yes, typically. Well, no. It says constructed near than 30 feet to the property line.
We have to define what the property line actually is, I guess. Somehow.
So the
It's
actual,
based on their survey.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't put my fence up. I have to put it in further.
You gotta remove the whole sentence.
Yeah, I think so. Because if I'm reading that correctly, what you just told me is that I have to put my fence 30 feet back.
I see what you're saying. We need to also grab this. I would remove this.
Yeah, I can see, well,
I
no,
can see not putting a shed or a house or a car
Exactly.
park or something, but
Fencing on the property line, I'm totally okay with.
so shall be erected or constructed near the 30 feet to the front of the property line. Like, I feel like 30 feet. I guess I'm trying to imagine 30 feet from my actual fence line, you know?
it
Is that,
depends on what you define as the property lines. The property line is the edge of the road and the
no,
right of way.
No, that
no,
is not true, Joe. The
No, the
property line
property-
is not the edge of the property. Or
no,
edge
the
of-
property line is what has been surveyed. When you bought the property, it was surveyed, and that is your property line.
Well,
Well,
listen,
then-
don't overthink this and make it too complicated. Delete including fences and just put on there, no improvement shall be erected or constructed nearer than 30 feet to the front property line. That eliminates carports, sheds, some of these crappy things that you look at and wonder what they were thinking when they built it.
Yeah, but if it's,
And,
but if it's a nice carport, if it's a nice carport, professionally done, you know what I mean? Our job is to protect our citizens and also protect our city. And while I understand both of you, I have to agree and disagree I mean, and my statement stands. You have to think about that. If I want to put a carport on my property,
I would say 30 feet might be a little excessive.
yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to get at. But I don't know. I think we should shelf that one and do a
Well,
little
maybe
bit
we
more
should
research on it.
do a survey of the neighborhood and see what, the average kind of thing is.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a
and
good
we
idea.
probably should define improvements. Does that include parking spaces?
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
I agree.
okay.
Good.
Yeah, you're gonna end up with a set of rules, looks like City of San Antonio, believe me, that.
Yeah,
That's
And
exactly
Melissa-
what I'm trying not to do.
yeah, and Melissa, I understand what you're saying, but when you said carport professionally built, okay, that right there just kind of negated the whole discussion, because now you're gonna require that it has to be professionally done, and Jack
Yeah.
Jones down the street is saying, I can build one, and now we have a disparity between quality, if you will.
Yep. Well, I mean, say my husband can build one that's just as professional as hiring, some Joe Blow company off the street. If it
Exactly.
yeah,
Oh,
there's
I know.
all that.
Aren't we in the process of creating a permitting system?
We are
for-
working
Yes.
on, that is exactly what all of this will lead to in the end, yes.
Yeah. So in
Okay,
general, a
so-
permitting system would be the kind of thing that, lays out the plans, the construction materials, and then there'd be an inspection when it's done, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
okay,
this is why I live
Y'all
in the middle of
done-
nowhere.
yes. But you come visit us often.
Have y'all done a survey when it comes to the residents on this topic? To see
Well-
what the feedback is? I understand that there's already been heat already, but
So what we did, we hired a engineering firm to do the master plan for us. They sent out 4,000 surveys twice. We got
Okay.
back 129 responses.
okay. Okay, just a sample.
Just a sample.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of this that we're going to go through is going to be fairly easy to, I mean, with the exception of some of the things, just like we were talking about. Because overall, some of the heat, if you will, from discussions with residents prior to having this in place,
Mhm.
we always refer back to the deed restrictions. Everybody's comfortable with that. They don't understand the difference. We've tried repeatedly to explain the city cannot enforce a deed restriction,
Mhm.
but we refer them to their deed restrictions because we don't have this in place. So at least it's a baseline for them to understand it. And I think the majority of people out here know and understand that.
Okay.
Well, 10 is obvious.
Well, we do have an ordinance against the illegal or the not illegal, reckless discharge of firearms.
Are you
Um,
considering BB guns or pellet guns firearms? Is that why you say that? Or what do you mean? Why is that?
Firearm is defined as part of the NFA Act. And in general, it refers to any weapon that uses an explosive charge like gunpowder or anything similar to propel a projectile. I mean, it's pretty, so firearm is in general a gun.
And remember, we're looking at specific districts. So
Yeah.
we're looking at R1 right now. These are probably the smaller half acre lots. There's
You said-
another area that. is a-
Mickey, you cut out a little bit. Sorry, the smaller lots, is that what you said?
Oh, yes, without the map in front of me, I'm gonna assume R1 because that was the majority, is your traditional half acre lots that are out here. When we get down to another R district where the lots are 5 acres or larger, it's gonna be something totally different. So they may be able to hunt. They may be able to, if they've got 10 acres, I think the law is 10 acres in order to shoot off firearms.
I think that changed. That would be a Miss Ortiz. I think it wasn't it changed to like 14 or 15 or something? I don't know. I thought I heard that it was changed.
I was just trying to look. I think anything regarding guns or firearms would probably need to be changed. Just say something different than what the deed restrictions say. I think it would be something consistent with the city's ordinance of the reckless discharge would
Yeah.
be more appropriate than completely banning discharge of firearms.
And
Well,
I do know from hearing from residents, gunfire out here is a huge concern. Very few people are in favor of that. And I think the ones that are claiming to be in favor of it are just agitators who are trying to get a rise out of people. But there's a lot of concern about discharge of firearms here.
There's an awful lot of difference between a 22 pistol with rat shot and a 357.
You think?
Yes. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. For
Well,
the
is
record,
it-
no.
And we do have snakes out here, and people do.
Can't we just blanket make it illegal or whatever to recklessly, I don't like recklessly, just to flat out discharge a weapon of any kind. You'll have some idiot with an AR-15 out here, shooting it off, and he's, being perfectly logical and perfectly, normal while he's sitting out there, destroying trees and God knows what else. And, and he would be perfectly within his right to do so because the wording is ambiguous or vague on the regulation of guns.
I think they could get him several ordinances, not the least of which would be disturbing the peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do have an ordinance that addresses reckless discharges of firearms. What we need to be sensitive to is you have Bear County that comes out here that when people are complaining about loose dogs, that will flat out tell them, if you feel threatened,
You
shoot
shoot
them.
them. Yep. I
Okay?
think that we go,
We have snakes. We
yeah,
have, yeah.
I agree. I think that like what Miss Ortiz maybe said, because I mean, that is, and I don't agree with killing dogs, but if it is like coming at you, whatever the sheriff says. But, and then, snakes where rat shot is, Joe, it's a smaller caliber, isn't it? Like it's a very
Well,
small
You can
caliber.
get rat shot all the way up to 410, but
Well, what we're-
basically a 22 revolver with rat shot in it. It's not very loud. Most people probably wouldn't even notice it. But the deal is that in general, like the city of San Antonio, it's illegal to discharge a firearm within the city limits of San Antonio. Okay. Doesn't matter what the reason. It's selectively enforced.
So, Mr. Ortiz, would that particular item, firearms, be better addressed in an ordinance as opposed to this document?
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah, I was thinking so too. Although I did find the penal code section that regulate or prohibits reckless or negligent discharge within a residential district. So it can be incorporated just for the purposes into the zoning ordinance under residential districts, or it can be its own separate ordinance. It may need to be its own separate ordinance.
And I'm pretty sure Texas has an extensive set of firearms laws as well.
Yep.
Which they're about to eliminate with this free carry that the
No,
Constitution.
they're not.
carry.
All right,
That's
so
a different subject.
let's I guess let's remove that, right?
You want to remove all of number 10?
Yeah, because I think we're gonna do an ordinance on it, or y'all are gonna, I think it would be better served as like Ms. Ortiz was saying about the ordinance,
Okay.
something about the ordinance.
Everybody thought that there would be blood running in the streets when we got concealed carry.
True.
Number 11, new mobile home constructed before shall be placed.
No mobile home constructed before.
Yeah, I said not be placed.
Okay, good.
You think that should be no, but that should probably be.
Yes.
I think that's
Let's
supposed to say
change.
no mobile home.
Okay, we'll do that. And then I'll remove this. I think I'm gonna remove it. How do I remove?
All right, and I think you can keep it if you change new to no. Then no mobile home shall be.
No, I did that over there, but I want to take this one out.
Oh, remove the comment. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to remove a comment. Well, you know, there was an insert. Let's delete comment. How's that? Okay. There we go.
There we go.
All manufactured homes and pier and beam buildings must be completely enclosed from the ground level to lower portion of the exterior walls with a capital HUD,
Now, that,
No.
she dictated, remember?
Well, I mean, I didn't know if it had if
No.
we were missing something or not. So,
Oh, she capitalized HUD.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay,
again,
HUD
we need to
approved.
reference back to this section right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, see comment, let's see. Can I copy this? You know, something you don't use all the time.
can you do Control C? Will it work?
Now it'll copy the whole thing.
Right there. Copy.
Yeah, I know, but it's not gonna, okay, well, hold on. If we go down here, I don't want to overwrite all of this. Oh, see? I'm just gonna put consistent. With other comment above. All right. Okay. All right, so now we're moving on to R2.
I'm looking at our map and it looks like it is the same as R1 pretty much. It says that R1-R2 is high density residential.
R2, horses and cows are permitted. Yeah,
Okay, one family, churches.
But it doesn't, yeah, like on the, I'm looking at our map from the, master plan, and it doesn't say what well, on the map, it doesn't give me it says with a few 2-acre lots along Star Oaks Drive.
Okay. Okay, so again, so Ms. Ortiz, in our discussions previously about livestock and ordinances, and the fact that apparently there is a deed restrictions are still in place until they're not. We need to figure out how that happens. If a deed restriction allows it, then they can, even if an ordinance prohibits it. Is that correct?
No, if the ordinance prohibits it, they cannot, the city can enforce that ordinance and prohibit them from having livestock that is otherwise permitted by a deed restriction.
We can?
Yeah, that you don't have to follow the deed restriction. If it's allowed in the deed restriction, the city can still prohibit it.
If you have an ordinance.
Yes, by the
Oh.
ordinance.
But we do in our ordinance, we prohibit livestock.
The ordinance prohibits livestock, but then says, but if livestock is allowed by your deed restriction, you can have the livestock.
Right, okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's, I realized what you were asking
Yeah,
after that. So, yes, I don't know what the city wants to do as far as zoning, if it wants to stay consistent with that animal control ordinance and allow livestock or other types of animals, or restrict them in certain residential districts.
okay.
Did you dictate this on an iPad?
No, I dictated on a Word on the computer.
Because, you know, like iPad is the worst word recognition on the planet.
Okay,
Churches, accessory buildings and uses allocated on the same property.
Sure do like that bread.
my favorite thing.
So does number 3 read correctly? At
To
located,
the above uses. More than likely to the, yeah, should be to the probably on the same property large act.
at located on the same property? At located? Was there something missing maybe?
That maybe are located. Wait,
Or located?
Are, yeah, are
the
located.
above
on the
uses
same
are
property large
located
act.
on, I think add is supposed to be R.
Okay.
Tract is
Therewith
supposed to be
probably be
tract with
there.
a T.
Right? Should be therein.
There
Well,
within or there with? You have there with, Mickey.
Accessory
Therewith.
building and uses customarily incident to the above uses are
Are
located on.
located on the same property.
That sentence just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
That's why I was wondering if it read correctly or if it was just me. Maybe I didn't understand it.
I'm just gonna highlight the whole thing and we're gonna just say, please clarify.
Rewrite. Send it back to the rewrite.
Okay,
Single dwelling
Okay.
shall be allowed per single lot. The minimum required area of living space is 700. So,
Manufactured or site built, probably,
yeah,
shall be only one single, it should be like only one single family dwelling manufactured site shall be allowed per single lot.
you know what's funny is that we're giving more. I think it should be the 800 square feet. I think it should be consistent because you have a bigger property with the smaller square footage.
Well, that's the minimum, right? So probably those big lots were the earlier lots.
No, these are the bigger lots.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are the R2s, the bigger lots.
Right, so were they before or after the earlier lot, the R
Well,
ones?
this is in that Star Oaks area.
I would
Okay.
say an 800. I would be consistent. Me personally, I don't know if y'all agree, but like, it's 700. We went bigger land, smaller house, whereas the smaller properties need a bigger house. It's kind of silly, in my opinion.
Well, and I'd like Jacqueline's input on this as well. One of the things that Ms. Ortiz and I have talked about in the past is really pertinent to the discussion on districts is allowing the flexibility for smaller homes. Tiny homes are now a thing.
Isn't that a tiny home?
700 is not a tiny home, believe it or not. I think 300 square feet is a tiny home.
Oh,
But
Like 10 by 12, which is 120 square feet.
exactly, yeah, they're tiny, tiny. But to be able to allow that flexibility for different types of housing units.
think that might be a can of worms too. I think that would be something that has to be maybe you go into it a little bit more, or we go into it later a little bit more, because I mean, a tiny home, it's the same thing as a carport, like professionally done, or you know,
Yeah,
or are we gonna
one
put a shed on the
man's-
property?
another man's hovel, you know.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, if we're gonna go there, and you know, I don't have anything against tiny homes. They can be pretty cute, but so can a shed. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
So it depends on, you know, where the city's wanting to go. Are we wanting to look uniform, or not uniform in a sense, but are like, because I know at one point the houses all had to face certain way, and
well, but that was not deed restriction, that was architectural committee with the homeowners association, so that does not exist.
gotcha.
Yeah, you could make it 800. It doesn't bother me. I mean, obviously anybody who's already there is grandfathered, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
The issue I have though is I know a lot of the people who live in Star Oaks now. And there's a lot of lots with way more than one single family.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Okay, so let's see, what are we at? Any residents must not exceed 2 stories in height. Garage apartments for non-commercial use are permitted. Horses, cows, household pets are permitted, kept bred and maintained. And I think that the 25 foot setback, I think probably we go up there and look at it as well, like the other one.
Yeah,
Just because if you have, you know, 30 feet versus 20, just consistency,
right.
especially because the R1 and R2 are very, very similar.
I'm trying to phonetically think of what he ran being could be.
Of what?
Well, where are you?
12.
Oh, okay. Well,
He
hold on, we're
ran
almost
being.
there.
He ran being
Oh my
crazy.
goodness. All manufactured home.
And he ran being buildings. All our manufactured homes and
And accessory buildings?
You had something up there that said like pier and beam.
Oh, pier and beam.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I was trying to I know there was some words you spoke that the computer said, this is what she said. But
okay.
yeah.
Mickey, I don't see R3 on our map.
I don't have the map in front of me, so they're all color coded and they could be along Priest Road.
C1 is along Priest Road. R-A1 is along, no, that's not along Priest Road. That's the commercial, the light commercial is along Priest Road. I don't see anything for R2 or R3 rather. R-A1 is residential / agricultural. And then we have downtown district, commercial, light industrial, and then light commercial. No R3.
Going on here.
Yeah, in the master plan, there's no R3 and R4 either. But there were in the original, I know, just a proposed draft by the city engineer. So I included them. So they can either be, the master plan can change to conform with the different districts, or they can somehow be combined or just broken up into 2 different or 3 different types of residential districts.
So what's the difference between R3 and R4 versus the first 2? I mean, I don't see a, Mickey, can you go down? Yeah, see, there's no really.
Well, there's 1,000 square feet here.
But I mean, there's no, like the livestock and the second one, there's
Well,
really
this has
nothing.
a 40-foot setback and a 15-foot. This one up here had a 30-foot or 25-foot.
I guess I mean, like, is what's stopping us from deleting them? Because if we don't have them on here,
Exactly. And remember, these came from existing deed restrictions. So if we don't have any areas within the master plan that are designated R3 and R4, then we should probably just take them out of here.
I would
Yeah.
say, what,
I think they can either be combined. You can take what you like from each proposed district or whatever the deed restriction was. Yeah, it's mostly the setbacks and the
Size.
livestock and
so
size that's the difference.
do we have, Mickey, do we have an R-A1? Can you go down a little bit? Or up or whatever, you know what I mean?
No,
No, there isn't one.
no.
Okay, so then that one probably needs to be R-A1, this District 4, because it's the large agricultural type ones. And then if you look down
But
here,
those would be, whoa. We
no,
have
those are the smaller ones.
A1 is agricultural.
It just says reserves.
Oh, it's
not-
reserved. Got it.
So I think it would be like if you go down to the R4, that might be consistent with maybe something that was in with these, because these are large lots.
Right.
That-
If we're getting into some of the bigger, large lots, maybe we allow more than one.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. Do you know what on average those larger lots
Oh,
are?
it is plural, so that implies that you could have
Dwelling.
more than
So maybe we can rename that to the R-A1. And then maybe at the top, take that other one out or change it to whatever that one is at the top. I don't know what the,
Now, I can understand why you don't want swine, but what have you got against goats?
I love goats.
Goats are cute.
I
They
know.
are.
And,
Of course.
but remember, we're not gonna, the animal control ordinance is gonna dictate the animals. Other than, well,
Nowhere did I see sheep mentioned.
Tricky.
So I'm gonna ask this question. I went ahead and put this comment in here. But I think this might be a good stop point.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
Okay.
But just at least putting that together.
And I'm just gonna make a comment here.
Somebody
Delete
remove. Yeah,
or combine with other district. And we'll leave it at that. How's that?
sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, I will save these notes. I will send them to Jacqueline and Ms. Ortiz. And they will have it for the next meeting. Actually, I can send it to all of y'all.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind, before we break up, and this would be like for Cassandra, maybe. Somebody owns one of these huge pieces of land down Priest Road. You know, there are some there I know they're like 10 acres at least. And they get it in their head, they want to plat it into 3 lots. Is that something that we care about or control, or is that something else?
That is within the Planning and Zoning Commission, probably under a plating subdivision ordinance.
Yeah, because I think right now we don't have anything in place.
Which the city doesn't have, and when the city would adopt one, which can go with the zoning ordinance or as part of the comprehensive zoning ordinance, it'd be like a plat and subdivision ordinance and how those, how that's regulated. But that would come to the Planning and Zoning Commission before it goes to council. And those that would require a public hearing as well.
Just curious.
Okay, I guess we will
Let me get back over to Zoom real quick so I can be in a position here to stop sharing that and stop recording when you're ready. Okay,
We'll move on to agenda item number 5. In 2 weeks, we'll have our next meeting. So we already, the discussion, I guess, is just in 2 weeks, Thursday, and then no possible action. And then agenda item 6, we adjourn this meeting, or I adjourn this meeting at 7:52 PM.
okay.